program. We have the Boyle County Fiscal Court. We're welcome the judge and the commission. Before we start this meeting, I'd like to ask you all to bow your heads in a word of silence in honor and respect out of our commissioner, Mrs. Lois and Mr. Siri. Thank you all. We always remember our brother. If you plan to come to our city commission meeting tonight at 4:30, which is a public meeting, also, you're welcome to come. You will find that your city commissioners and several city staff members, and if you show up, you're welcome to join us. We're wearing Hawaiian shirts and Hawaiian dresses tonight as a continued tribute to our memory. So please, if you attend and you're able to, show some respect for that. Again, I want to welcome you, call us to order. We have a very short, very brief agenda, but we're going to be here to about 3:30 today, so you're all welcome to stay on time. We do have a few donuts and coffee and some water in the back. But the topic is Parks and Rec, and we're going to have a presentation and a discussion. The discussion will be among Parks and Rec personnel and city staff and county staff and elected officials. So we'll set that format right from the start. So I want to turn the meeting over to our presenters today. It's Tommy and Josh, the Josh and Tommy show. So good morning, guys, and you all take it over.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. We're gonna discuss a little bit. We wanted to briefly thank the county and city for their 2025 joint capital projects, budgeted over $1.2 million. Our Parks Committee, which some of them are here today, they tell me they haven't seen the collaboration like this since Millennium Park was born. So we really thank you for coming together and working on these projects. They touch a huge, they check a lot of boxes, and they cover a large range of activities according to age, demographics, and tourism. The first one we're working on is ball field improvements. We're going to rehab 3 new fields with new infield skins. It's called Washington Ball Mix. Our maintenance director, Yvette, can testify that the field we redid last year, we have not had a rain out all year on this field, and we haven't put a bag of product on it, which every bag is $16, so when you have a rain out or you have to use the diamond dry, we go through about 2 pallets a year of that stuff. So hopefully we're going to rehab these 3 fields. The work on that begins today. We just had the delivery this morning. So we should have that project completed by the end of November. We also have the mountain bike park at Alum Springs, which the county is very invested in, and we had an RFP out. We've assigned the design and build to Parsons Construction. He begins breaking ground this month. We hope to have that project completed by next year this time. And that's going to be for hikers, for bikers, for runners, for walkers. It's actually going to bring in a lot of tourism, we believe. So that is an awesome project. We are redoing the skate park at Millennium Park. We've been working with the county and the city, and we've gotten it down to 2 design builds. We hope to pick that. We hope to pick that bid by the next 2 weeks, and that project should be completed. We got a target date, hopefully July 4th. We'd love to open it up then, but we're hoping sometime next summer that project is completed. Those projects, the mountain bike park, the skate park, we have committees that are going through that. It's joint committees. Judge Bottoms and Paula are sitting on the mountain bike park along with Josh and I, and we do have a lot of public input on that. The skate park, once we select a bid, we will involve the skate community also with that build. Josh and I and Jason are sitting on that committee. So it's very joint and working together. central playground at Millennium Park is also gonna get rehabbed, and what we're doing is replacing some old features, and we're also doing a poured in place. Instead of the wood chips, we're gonna have the poured in place like we have at the new Michael Smith Park. That playground is used more than any playground. I've been in this business 25 years, and I've never seen a playground get used like that playground gets used. And I always judge it by how much trash we change. So you got to back me on that. We're changing trash 4 to 5 times a day in that park. So we're also working on Millennium Park site furnishings, which is we are putting in extra cameras. We are putting AEDs at all the public buildings. And mainly the other thing we're doing is replacing all the doors in all the facilities. And that is our main the city has a quick fix program where citizens can let the city know where things need to be fixed. That is by far the most quick fixes we have is regarding those doors at the bathrooms, concession stands. So, and you'd be surprised how much there is. I believe there's 32 doors, I think, replacing, so it'll go pretty fast. And then also, the city and county went in and purchased a new utility vehicle for the maintenance staff, which was greatly needed. So we appreciate and thank you for those projects. We hope to have all those projects completed by spring with the mountain bike park and the mountain bike park and the skate park probably finishing in early fall. And it'll be a great add to our community. So we want to go on to, but today we're here to discuss the future capital projects that we have coming up. They have been designated as indoor rec, outdoor aquatics, pickleball, and park offices. Our basketball program, I believe, had 500 kids in basketball, another almost 200 in cheerleading. So we had over 60 teams that we need to practice and play twice a week. And what is happening is the school gyms are being used for their extracurricular activity and also for out-of-season practices. So in my short time of 2 years, the gym space that we are allowed to use for basketball has been cut in half. We're basically having to cram those 60 teams in on Fridays and Saturdays. So that's a big push for indoor rec. And obviously, our outdoor aquatics, literally our pool is crumbling apart. And that's literal. If you look at it, the gutters and the walls are actually crumbling. And this summer, the kids were throwing the concrete as it peeled off the walls. So, and then of course, pickleball is steadily growing. And I live a block away from the pickleball. I can sit on my deck at night and I hear it just going ping pong all night long. So those are our biggest needs. And we're going to touch on the how and we're going to touch on the what, but we are mainly here today to discuss the where. And that's mainly because the county is ready to go on the new pickleball project. And what we like to see is we'd like a big picture, and we would like to see that new pickleball complex married to a larger project. So we're really here to discuss how and where we put that, and how it'll be enfolded into a larger facility when we're talking about indoor rec and outdoor aquatics. The good news is, I got a little good news and bad news. The bad news is recently the restaurant tax has been basically null and voided as the Hazard County lost their court case. So we don't see that as a future option. The good news though is the city commission this afternoon will be considering an MOA with the hospital which establishes a working group to develop 5 objects in this new indoor rec complex. Those 5 things are location, scope, financing, operation, and maintenance of a new facility. So we're advancing that partnership with the hospital, and hopefully that's where we'll get a good partner out of that.
Yeah, we kind of, pickleball is the one that's kind of, the two slides we just showed with this year's projects and major projects. Pickleball is kind of both. I was debating even this morning where to put it at. Because we want to keep pickleball moving in this year's budget because the county has committed to it. So that's really, we have these 4 items listed here and they work together. But pickleball definitely is going to be the one that moves quicker. And the goal of today, even though we're going to talk about a lot of things, the goal of today is to figure out where pickleball needs to go so we can start immediately. And I think one of the things I wanted to say is we were talking about this Friday a little bit of, we have when Tommy and I were putting this slideshow together, we have a lot of audiences we're trying to speak to. I mean, we have, it's really tough to make a presentation where you have to talk to 50 different people that have 50 different desires and goals. But we tried to do that, so it's probably not good for anybody. That's what the result. Everybody's going to go like this. So, when we go through this, we kind of ask for a little bit of patience, not to overreact to certain things. And you're like, oh, I don't know why they're talking about this. Well, probably somebody else in the room is like, I'm glad they're talking about this. So be patient with us. We're going to go through this, and this has been kind of a, Tommy and I are so deep in the weeds with this at this point. You can't really see what's going on around us. But thank you all. This might be the biggest crowd we've ever had at a meeting like this in my like 20 years that I've been around this. So thank you all for coming, and hopefully after today we can move. Tommy and I are ready to go. We're ready to do something. So hopefully after today we can get moving on a couple things.
So major project location options. So again, we're kind of really working on the where aspect. So we came up with 4 different options. Millennium Park project. The option number 1 would be a split facility at Millennium Park and the Wellness Center with us partnering with the hospital. Option B is that split facility at Millennium Park and an unknown location. That is if our partnership with the hospital fell apart. Where would that be? We would need, we obviously couldn't do an outdoor pool and an indoor rec center at Millennium Park. We just don't have the room. So, so basically that we'd have to find either land or we'd have to find a new a facility that housed it that we could build in. So that's our option 2. Option 3 and 4 are using the fairgrounds. Also, option 3 is where we partner a facility with the hospital at the old fairgrounds and do one big facility. And then, of course, option 4 is if we didn't have the hospital support, we could build an indoor rec and aquatics at the old fairgrounds. So those are our 4 different topics, and we're going to kind of go through each one of those.
Yeah, when we started looking at some different options, and we had a slideshow done that we kind of scrapped and restarted.
Yeah.
Because once we kind of stripped away all of the variables that we can't control today, it really came down to do we invest some of this work in Millennium Park, or we do invest in the old fairgrounds? That was really the 2 places we came to, because the partnership is still being developed, and there may be a partnership we don't even know about yet. So there were a lot of variables that we had no control over right now. What are the things we know right now that we can move on? And it really came down to Millennium Park versus Fairgrounds. This is why we organized it like this. And you'll see later on we kind of go into pros and cons comparing just those 2 things. Because everything else is something we can't really do anything with right now. So that's why we broke it down this way. It looks odd to you that why are they just saying Millennium Park Fairgrounds? Because that's really the big decision that needs to be made, especially when it comes to pickleball, how we move forward. So, correct.
So option 1 is split facility at Millennium Park and the Wellness Center. So the components are at Millennium Park, we have room that we think we can build a pool with a retractable roof. We can put in the park headquarters. We can do 8 pickleball courts and parking. The Wellness Center would go ahead on their own project and build 4 multi-purpose courts, meeting rooms and party rooms, and the City County Parks and Rec would lease that facility for their programs. If we go to the next slide, you'll see this is a.
I want to add real quick.
Go ahead.
These dollar amounts you see, we base those on 2 or 3 years now of developing different options with consultants on what these projects would cost. when Tommy and I, we toured a lot of facilities, we got cost of those projects, we were able to kind of extrapolate from there with inflation and come up with some numbers that we feel pretty confident about.
Yes.
And we also took into consideration where they're located and what the available utilities are, and what the grading work would be like. But the one number that's a big assumption is the hospital number. We don't know that right now. That's a huge assumption. We just assume that's what that project would cost at the wellness center. It would be $10 million. That's our estimate. The hospital, that's what they decide to do. That's really in their court. So there's some assumptions here with dollars amount, but we try to get those as close as we could and be as conservative as we could be as well, because those numbers go up every year pretty drastically. So we're trying to be conservative.
Correct. So the next slide is, this is a slide provided by JRA Architects, which the county has hired for pickleball. We asked them to kind of put that vision in that area of Millennium Park. So what you're seeing there is, we got the 8 pickleball courts, we got park offices, we have a swimming pool, and we've moved the sand volleyball and basketball towards the back. So we're not losing any features, we're just kind of moving them around. This part of the park was kind of, I want to say hodgepodge put together, but they were just done at different times, and we think this way it kind of completes Millennium Park. We are losing a little bit of green space, but we are basically fulfilling the park master plan from way back when it was designed. So if we go to the next slide, that's where we show the old master plan.
Yeah, this is the original 1997 Millennium Park Master Plan, and it shows that an aquatic facility in this location. Now it shows a lot more parking. We're kind of replacing that parking with pickleball is the big change that we're making. But as you can see, it really is. We're going back to the old, almost 30-year-old master plan. So we wanted to point that out as well. We've gone round and around a lot of circles and ended up right back where we were. But yeah, so we wanted to make sure that we showed everybody this today as well.
The next slide is basically your wellness center with your added-on gym and extra parking. So this is the option one kind of split facility where the county and city work to develop an aquatic center and outdoor rec, pickleball and basketball at Millennium Park, while the hospital hits our indoor rec needs at the wellness center. And it's basically using land that we've already owned, it's already purchased, and the city and county have a shared expense in that. Option 2 is us basically, if something happens that we don't partner with the hospital, we would still put those same components at Millennium Park, the pool, the park headquarters, and 8 pickleball courts, and the new rec center would have to be location to be determined, which would be acquisition of land or an existing building that we would put it in. So that would be an additional cost to the city, to the county, but we do have the $15 million for the Millennium Park project. We don't have a cost on that location to be determined because we just don't know. Now, if we want to go to option 3, this is using the fairgrounds where we operate with a partner. We got this at $35 million project. Hopefully, that partner would go in on that expense, half of that expense we would hope. But this would be put in a public fitness center, a multi-purpose room on a second floor that would be operated by the partner. And Parks and Rec would operate the ground floor, which would have 4 multi-purpose courts, a pool with a trackable roof, meeting rooms, park headquarters, of course pickleball and parking. If we go to the next slide, that is the Morristown Landing in Morristown, which was opened 2 years ago, we believe, and that is our exact model. We believe the price tag on that was $36 million, but as you can see, it's a 2-story facility, which the hospital operates the 2nd-story fitness center, and Parks and Rec operate the pool and the gyms on the 1st floor.
I was going to say, how we got to that $35 million, we got a price from our consultant back in the spring, it was back in the spring for indoor rec / aquatics facility for about 22 million. We took that number and we kind of, we added a fitness center to it, which, is gonna be, this is gonna sound high, but $4 to $5 million. And then you're gonna, if we put it at the fairgrounds where it's gonna be located, we're probably looking at $5 to plus $1 million worth of utility and grading costs. And then a little bit of inflation too, because that number's already 6 months old, and we're gaining about $1 million a year. So, and then we try to be a little bit conservative with it. So we ended up at 35 million. Like I said, this building was 36 2 years ago. It's bigger than what we need. It's the aquatics part is much bigger than what we need. They have a 12-lane competition pool alongside a like indoor water park pretty much. So, but the other side of the building is pretty close to what we would try to build. So we looked at that and said, hey, that building's probably 40 to 45 million now. So yeah, if we take off the parts that we don't want, we're probably in the 35 million. So that number seems really, really big. But yeah, I think that's a good conservative estimate, because one thing we don't want to do, we don't want to send you all of us down a road that we get there, we're like, oh, this is way more expensive than what we thought it was going to be. We want to make sure that we're having realistic expectations. I learned my lesson on Main Street a little bit. We kind of joke about that some, but yeah, we're going to be really conservative with this and make sure that we're giving realistic expectations of what the community needs to fulfill to accomplish it. So.
And if we go to the next slide, this is, basically we took the square footage of that Morristown landing and put it at the fairgrounds so you can kind of see how it would fit in there. If you want to talk about this a little more.
Yeah, we're going to go into some pros and cons later that we get more detail about this, but it fits. It doesn't display any kind of outdoor pickleball, which we would maybe work with White's Park on that. But it doesn't show parking either, which we would need a tremendous amount of parking for this facility, which would probably eat up every bit of green space you can see on the screen other than where the building is. So we'll get to the pros and cons. It would be very congested, but I think we wanted to at least just show an outline and say, hey, is it even possible? It's possible. We were talking to the office the other day. It's going to be really crowded. And like we said earlier, it may change once we get into the design. It is literally us just drawing a rectangle the size of the one in Morristown over top of our park. So it just gives us an idea of what that scale is on our property.
And then option 4 would be doing a joint facility without a partner, and in this, would be the same option of putting it at the fairgrounds. We would probably eliminate the fitness center. That's why we dropped the price tag to 30 million. But again, this is doing all those things we want to do, but having no partners. So this would be we put it at about a 30 million price tag for the city and county, again, without a partner. So those are our 4 options that we've come up with. We try to, unbiasedly provide you with the information, because as elected officials, it's up to you to determine where do we want to put this project. Both locations and concepts would work and meet all our needs. Both concepts have been discussed with the hospital in our meetings. Just a summary on my behalf was the fairgrounds would be a bold historic project. You're talking about an all-in-one access for all its patrons, and you're also talking about being a potential regional hub where we're pulling people from Stanford, we're pulling people from Bergen, Harrodsburg, and all over. But the split facility at Millennium Park and in the Wellness Center, that meets all our needs also. It's a little more financially responsible. There's a lot fewer hurdles that we have to go through as in partnerships. In one big facility, we got, how does the hospital and Parks and Rec divvy up memberships? Also, that we know the county doesn't have ownership at the fairgrounds, so that would have to be all worked out. So there's fewer hurdles in that split facility, and again, it meets all our local needs, more of a local facility. But again, they both would work. But Josh here is going to go through a little more detailed pros and cons to basically fairgrounds versus the split facility.
Yeah, we put the top ones bold because those are the ones we kind of know that the pro and the con. The other one's the bottom. We actually argued about these amongst ourselves for a while about which was the pro, which was the con. So I think here in the room, you probably get, you might split down the middle what the opinions are. And we try, and I'll say this before we kind of go into this. Tommy and I, like, we've talked ourselves into both of these locations back and forth over and over again. And I think if someone says do it this way, we're going to be excited about whatever gets picked, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability and make something that we can be proud of. But we do know that's one of the things that the thing that's kind of swung me a little bit back towards Millennium Park at this point is I think our money will be able to go further there. So we'll be able to make it something we can be proud of. I'm worried that if we did put the fairgrounds, we're going to be pinching pennies so much to make it happen that we'll have to make something that when we're done, it'll be useful, but will it be to the standard that we have? So that's kind of the first four. The first three are really all tied together. They're construction costs. The fairgrounds, it's going to be very expensive to build there. Now we've got to rip that Band-Aid off at some point and get, sanitary sewer is the big thing that we don't have sanitary sewer on the fairgrounds. Once you get over the ridge, every facility there now is on septic system, so we're going to have to cross the bypass with sanitary sewer. Like I said, we're going to have to do that at some point, but it's going to be a really, really big cost. So we're talking billions to probably make that happen. So that's one of the things that's a big benefit to doing it at Millennium. We can, like we said, there's far less hurdles to make that happen. We have sanitary sewer right there. There's a manhole right behind the basketball courts that we can tie into. Site topography, same thing. We've got nice level areas to work on. The partnerships one is, like Tommy talked about this. Like at the Millennium Park, we have a partnership with the county. We have a very long-lasting, very productive partnership that we can continue. We've got a lot to work out. I think if we put all this at the fairgrounds, we've got a lot of things to figure out as far as the partnership goes. And the same thing, I think we talked to the hospital. Like if we do the Millennium Park Wellness Center option, it's a very clearly defined partnership of who's over what. If we put it all together in one place, we can make it work, but it's a really complicated partnership with a lot of details that we need to figure out. So we kind of gave partnerships a pro and felt pretty good about that. As we go down the list, like memberships, if everything's in one place, if you have a fitness center, 4 courts, and an indoor and aquatics with a retractable roof, you're going to be able to sell a lot of memberships to that facility. That's going to be that's going to be the central hub. That's what they have in Morristown. They have 8,000 monthly, probably 9,000 now because they were climbing pretty quickly. Paying members in a community of 30,000 like ours. So I think you would see a pretty good investment in memberships. And we can have memberships if we do this facility at Millennium Park, we would be able to have memberships. But you're really going to be driven by your daily uses there with the aquatics. And then traffic impacts. One of the things that worries me about the facility at the fairgrounds is, especially if you put the fitness center in it, is 7:30 in the morning when Boyle County Schools is going in and people are wanting to get to the facility to work out. You have a real traffic issue. So if you put it, that's kind of a traffic engineering kind of thing. If you have one destination for everything, it's going to be really, really congested. So dividing things up makes traffic a little more easy to manage. Existing site impacts. This was one that we kind of went back and forth on because we really didn't know how to label it. It was, people like Millennium Park as it is. People really love it. So that's that we consider, okay, what are the impacts to our existing site? We're going into a beloved feature of our community and we're changing it. So we have to kind of, that's when you start weighing the pros and cons of, okay, is it worth it? Is it worth going in and us impacting Millennium Park in a major way? And that will be one of our goals if this happens, is to do it in a way where people don't feel like it's changed their experience at Millennium Park. Operational costs, we went back and forth on this one because this one depends on partnerships. If we don't have a partner, it is definitely a operational cost pro for us to put it at the fairgrounds because everything's in one place. The staff's all in one place. They don't have to spread out to 2 different facilities. If the partnership works, then they're dealing with the operational cost of the facility at the wellness center, which takes some operational cost of us. That can go a lot of different directions. A lot of it depends on the partnership, but we felt like, you know, as always, if you can have everything in one place, you save a little money on your operations. Timeline, implementation time, we talked about this, we can get going on the Millennium Park side very quickly. Not just pickleball, but if everyone's, hey, we're ready to do aquatics, like we can move very quickly on it. So, we think the timeline can be sped up on that compared to a fairgrounds project, which would take, I mean, it would be probably add a year just to get the site ready. So that's something we want to point out. Property optimization, probably, I kind of made that one up. This was related to that master plan, that, you know, the original master plan had this being the use of Millennium Park, and it had that being the use of the wellness center. The original wellness center master plan from 30 years ago had gyms behind the facility. So it's really saying, hey, you know, they had a good idea 30 years ago, let's just finish that. And then it saves our fairgrounds property for any future needs that we don't even know about yet. 5 to 10 years from now, there could be something new, kind of like if pickleball has grown, that, you know, 10 years ago, that we wouldn't be here today talking about where to put a new pickleball facility. There may be something new coming down the road we don't even know about that we're gonna need some space for. So I think this is one of those, I think Tommy and I kind of veered apart from each other a little bit on. I feel like the Millennium Park one it optimizes our property a little bit. It's more efficient use of it. If we're talking 100-year planning, not just 5-year planning. But yeah, that's, like I said, those, the reason we kind of bolded at the top is we felt good about those. The other ones, we can sit here for hours on end and debate pros and cons of those. This is kind of our opinion, just the two of us sitting in the office. So that's what we had. I don't know, you know, it's kind of, you know, we just were looking for providing you all with everything that we had gathered at this point. I mean, this has been like 2 years for us now. Just talking about this, visiting places, and looking at cost estimates. And this is kind of where we have landed, the information that we have, and what is provided to you all, and say, hey, here's everything we have, here's what we know, here's what we don't know. And hopefully it's enough to, you all can feel good about the decision, and we can move forward on something cool.
And of course, you know, it will rely on what it is, what the hospital does want to do. Do they want to get into the gym business, or would they rather, or do they want to commit to this big, huge project? But what we need to do is start nailing down what it is the hospital is willing to, you know, put forth. So that's about all we have. I guess we'll open it up to you guys for questions. We got one microphone that we can pass around.
I'd like to jump in if I could. And first of all, thank you all for the presentation. And I want to say, I think it's a new day.
Mr. Gay, for recording purposes, we'll pass it down to you.
For recording purposes.
Identify yourself, please.
Magistrate J.B. Gay.
Oh, cut it on, slide it.
I'm not used to all this fancy stuff that the city has. Man, how do you stand this thing? First of all, thank you all for your presentation. I also want to say, I think it's a new day for Parks and Rec that's been in the making for 30 years. We've been waiting on for 30 years. I'm excited about the financial input that the fiscal court and the county's putting into Parks and Rec this fiscal year. And so I think we're on the verge of having a premier pickleball facility, a premier mountain bike facility, a premier skate park facility to go along with our premier Millennium Park facility. So I think there's really good things happening there. I would also say that, as you already stated, that it's neat to think that we've come back, we've gone round and round, and we're coming back full circle to the McDowell Wellness Center originally had the gymnasium in the plan, and that's exciting to see the possibility of completing that project, as well as the possibility of completing Millennium Park master plan. I would also say, and I didn't know if I wanted to go here or not, but hearing all the use of the terms fairground property, Millennium Park property, White's Park property. I think with it being a new day, that it is time for the county to put in White's Park into Millennium Park, and the city to put in the fairgrounds property into Millennium Park, and all just be Millennium Park property, so that we no longer talk about those as three separate entities. So I think that that can be worked out, and it's a discussion for another day, but I think that that's a real possibility. And my suggestion and recommendation would be to follow along the lines of the pickleball court and the design that's sketched out here, and we start that project in Millennium Park.
Oddly enough, I'm going to concur with Commissioner, or Manager Gay on that one.
Previous commissioner.
Yeah, well, makes great points about the combining the land into one large park, and I like that particular, this idea, it's spaced out, get going with the ball courts. I did have a question, you talk about memberships, what memberships is, what, if we don't have a fitness center, what do we have memberships in?
Well, we have summer passes for the pool, so if you do the split facility, we don't see a lot of, we're not gonna see a lot of memberships, I agree, but if you combined it all into one, where you had a fitness center, a pool, and a multi-purpose courts, that's where we see a large expansion of memberships. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
It is a new day, and this is almost earth-shattering. I too agree with virtually everything that Jamie said. We debate quite often. But that is a very logical connection of two entities. And I've often said that White's Park is the center cut of the country hand. So it is of great value when we get down to the point of negotiating. The one other thing, having spent too many years in Frankfort, Washington, and see delays of generations, there's no holding back now on the bike park out on Lebanon Road, correct? It is moving on, and nothing's getting in the way.
No.
Wonderful.
Yes, everything sounds real encouraging, and I know we're going forward with it. I'm real excited about the bike park. It's on Alum Springs Road. It's on Alum Springs Road, and this is Paula Boatman, by the way, magistrate for Boyle County, District 2. And I'm real excited for all of the things, what we forget. These are huge numbers, but what we forget, it's not just for fun, it's for health. I'm a nurse, and the more we can get our youth out and get them into these parks and get them, they're off their machinery and their technology for a few hours, this is a real health benefit. So these are all real good things we need to consider, lots to consider.
Anyone else?
Can we run?
Can you catch?
She can catch the
Thank you for all the time you put in this presentation. Okay, I broke it. My husband will tell you I broke everything. So, anyway, first you build the facility, and then you have to maintain it and staff it long-term. I feel like the partnership first at Millennium Park is most fiscally responsible. So personally, I'm for that one with the 15 million and the 10, if that works out. And also the three words, you can start it now. And so much of the community has been waiting for years and years to start now with so many projects. So those were great words. So I think that would be a great start it now forward.
I was gonna wait till the microphone got down there to ask for it back, but since it's on this end. Steve Sleeper, magistrate, Boyle County Magistrate, District 6. I agree with what's been said. I do want to correct Magistrate Voter on one point, and as it was, Magistrate Gay whispered in my ear, it's not just for the youth, it's for us old folks too.
That's right, we want to keep the old people moving.
Yeah, keep them alive, yeah. That's correct.
I was going to say, I would be shocked if the judge would say something. Yeah, me too.
I'm just waiting my turn. Billy Bottom, Boyle County Judge. Thank you all for the presentation. I know it takes a lot of work to put these things together, and we've been talking, behind the scenes for a while now, and to actually see something on paper is very promising and very encouraging to us as a court and to the community and to the pickleballers. So the county has set aside the money for the pickleball courts, and as soon as we get the word, we are ready to break ground. So we're just waiting for someone to say, okay, our architect is actually here today with us, so he's the one that drew up these plans, so we're excited and we're looking forward to getting started.
Number one, I did identify myself last time, it's Kevin Huddle, City Commission. The other thing I wanted to say is, I couldn't be happier about the cooperation between the city and county right now. I've been at this a long time, and there's no contention, there's no ours or theirs, and that's what you need to move something like this forward, this scope and scale. So I'm very pleased with that, and I thank everybody for taking part in that.
A lot of people can't really see this drawing, and I'll say too, this drawing isn't anything sacred that's gonna be, this is what's gonna be built. I think we've only talked about this once with the architect for about an hour, so I think we have a lot more discussions to have about this. But there's some things on here written that you probably can't read here in the back, as far as there's 8 pickleball courts on here, but there's room for expansion of 4 more to the west. It's got a pool with retractable roof. It shows a skate park expansion. So when we're meeting with our skate park potential vendors, we're looking at it can grow to the north and south. Now, right now, they only have 1 basketball court. I think we're going to try to go back. We need to go back to 2. Those basketball courts stay pretty busy. So that's one of the things we'll probably change out here. Definitely is we'll have 2 basketball courts. We got to find the space and get it oriented right. But I think the pool orientation probably changes, especially if we do the retractable roof. We need to orient it where the building is on, probably the south side, so that we get the east-west sun going over the pool. So all that to say, feel free to talk to folks about this and show it to people, but it's not, this will change. But it gets the components. It shows the scale, like we talked about scale earlier. It shows the scale of the components and how they can fit on the site. So that was really the goal of this, is to give us something to look at. Then there's potential parking expansion to the west. But yeah, parking's a big concern of Commons here, that if we do as good a job with this as we hope to do, parking will be an issue, because everybody in the 5 counties around us is going to be here. So hopefully parking's a problem. It's all parking, there's a planning saying this, parking is always difficult in a cool place. So hopefully parking is a problem here.
Thanks, Josh. By the way, I too did not introduce myself. I'm Tom Ellis, First District Magistrate. Josh, we're looking at cost, available land, enthusiasm, and population. I don't think you mentioned the size of Morristown and the surrounds, and you mentioned, Tommy, literally the surrounds are Stanford, Bergen, and other areas, and Harrisburg. Help me out on a comparison of need, because right now our 8 courts are enough.
Well, for pickleball, I think it's been there's a lot of them here today. I think that's been discussed with the pickleball community, that they felt they able to do, yeah.
Yeah, especially if we have an option for expansion as well. I
And
think-
what's the size of Morristown?
Well, they don't have pickleball courts in
Oh,
Morristown.
okay.
That was just an indoor facility kind of comparison, yeah.
The sizes, he asked a question about the size.
The population?
The Morristown, I think the city's 30,000, so it's a little bit bigger than us, and they pull a little bit of that Knoxville suburb area down Tennessee, so, I'd say they have a little bit bigger pool from a population standpoint than us, but not much different. When we talked to them, it seemed like they were in that, 40 to 50,000 was kind of the impact they were having. They were pulling a lot of members from other counties.
Yeah.
They were seeing that they weren't just getting local folks to get memberships, they were pulling from the counties over, which, I think if you did the big facility like that here. you
Is
could
that off
probably-
I-40?
Yes, yeah, what's that, Earl probably knows, what's that road that runs parallel to I-40 that Morristown's on? It's a, major highway that runs up through there. It's kind of,
It's the termination of 25E.
yeah.
That's where you go through the Cumberland Gap Tunnel, so it cuts the corner of the interstate and bypasses Knoxville on Corbin.
I think when we visited it, they said that at that point they had 8,000 members and half of them weren't from the county.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to go to Morristown, go to their downtown. They built in the 80s, they built elevated sidewalks in their downtown in the 80s. Ridiculous idea.
It's
And
awesome. I went there.
It's kind of cool to go see, but it's an interesting place for sure.
So the county has spoken to members of the pickleball community, and I would just like to suggest if everyone can agree to the pickleball courts being at Millennium Park, covered and lighted, and if maybe the city, if the funds are available, can go in, on some of that cost that goes above what the county's already budgeted.
You ever scout out the projected cost for the pickleball facilities?
We have budgeted $551,650.
But that's, somebody's giving you that as an estimated cost?
Yes.
Okay.
But then with the covered and the lighting, it will be, that's just for the courts. Yeah, that's just for the courts.
Does that include shelter?
No, they're just for pickleball courts, covered and lighted.
If that project would move ahead, we'd have to include moving the basketball courts and stuff, on that project also.
So if it's appropriate, I would like to make a motion. If appropriate, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we move forward with pickleball, with developing the plans for the pickleball courts to be located in Millennium Park.
Do we have counsel here? Because I'm not sure we have that authority the way we were organized today. I hope we do.
County,
I second your motion for the county. The distinction up here without the microphone was county.
Okay, from the county's perspective, we have a motion on the floor to build pickleball courts at Millennium Park, and we have a motion by Magistrate Gay, a second by Magistrate Ellis. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all magistrates in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
I think another important issue that's been brought forth by the court is the property at White's Court and the property at the fairgrounds. And it would be very proactive for our community if White Park and the fairgrounds became part of master plan. One thing I want to always emphasize when we have these meetings is that citizens come to be very professionally about whatever you do, keep it all on one side, bypass. I want to be sure I tossed that out again this morning that we work to keep it on one side of the bypass. And then the other thing that's always questioned about is that this is owned by this and this is owned by that. Well, there's always a way to have joint ownership to all the property. So that's part of my suggestion would be that we ask the court and the commission to work towards a resolution to joint ownership of all the property adjacent to Millennium Park is owned by city and county governments. The city does have a long-term use for part of the fairgrounds property, but we need to start looking at the possibility for joint ownership.
Long before I ran for magistrate, I was schooled on at what I call the Santa Country Hymn. And two of my elder statesmen, sadly, John Kaywood is no longer with us. Short of a resolution today, and with the greatest respect for one of the most extraordinary places for our fallen veterans and other veterans of foreign wars and just the military alone. That's sacred ground for us. And then with respect to White's Park, rather than any action today, I would just recommend that the court genuinely support or explore the sentiments that I've heard expressed for the past 24 years about holding on to White's Park. And I could be persuaded that it makes great sense to take that initiative.
Can I ask you a question like that? I guess you're saying that the sentiment is that the county hold on to ownership of White's Park. I think the discussion needs to be, White's Park is earmarked to be used for recreational purposes, but my concern would be, you'll still be owning of it. There will be a joint ownership between the city and county of it, not just White's Park, which is in the center of all this stuff, but everything. And then my discussion is never going to be anything about dealing with Memorial Park for our veterans.
And we would then be part owners of the fairground.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
And with that clarification, which I understood, before it was stated, that's why I'm very willing to support exploration of that venture. Judge, you might want to.
Well, I think if it all gets deeded, if the county makes a deed transferring White's Park to Millennium and the city makes a deed transferring fairgrounds to Millennium, then it's all jointly owned anyway. So it's all going to be city, county owned if that happens. So I'm in favor of that.
If we're going to, sound like we're moving forward, pickleball, I think we need to work with the county's architect to, we'll need to work on that, getting started on the pickleball course, but also developing a plan and an estimate for the cover and the lighting, and then also fine tune this layout at the same time. So we've got some things we need to be working on with the county's architect. At the same time, I don't know how we need to kind of work that out as far as the scope and fee kind of stuff for them, but that all needs to be happening in conjunction pretty quickly to keep this moving.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. One thing on White's Park, that is contingent that we don't find anything in the deed. It's restricted to recreational activity, but we've got to have someone check that, we have to have our county attorney check that and make sure that there's nothing else that restricts us from doing that. Otherwise, we're fine, yeah.
That's restricted by land and water money, right?
Yes.
That's what so we have the same restriction at even Millennium Park, the accessible playground that we built 3 years ago was built with land and water money. So it's you're right. I'm not sure about that when ownership changes hands, how that works.
Restrictions are assigned to the property owner. Other comments or questions? Anybody bring a message from the Magistrate who's out flying someplace today. Is he tuned in, watching us this morning?
He
Anybody?
agrees with everything I say.
Wait. Give him the microphone. Well, it is a good day. And notice some pickleballers back there all start clapping because y'all want to spend some money on pickleball. Well, this is an exciting time period. It's in a good location. The city should not have really positions when we talk about coverage beyond what you all have budgeted for pickleball courts. So we should leave that on the table. That's a discussion for the city at a later date also. We're not prepared to do that.
Yeah, I think some kind of rough numbers, I think, you know, what the county has projected to cover will probably cover the courts. Should use the word cover, the cover over the courts, probably be a similar amount, I think. I think you're gonna look at, it's gonna be $500,000, which is something I'm just coming up off the top of my head. But that's really important that we work with the architect to dial that in, make sure we're building something appropriate for their needs, and that we, you know, we invest the money well, and then we can come back and kind of talk about that.
Well, we're trying to stay on good working terms, and we're trying to keep a balance of the investments of the court and the commission in all the things we do for Parks and Rec. But right now, nobody can contest my statement about the fact it's really out of balance right now. These efforts are to help get us back in balance. So that's what my concern always going to be. Keeping the balance between the city and the county in a good, positive way, because we're making good progress. And when the county came up with the money for the pickleball court, we were excited because we thought $600,000 might cover the whole project, but I was told the next day, no, it's not going to cover it. So we understand. We're working together. Other comments or questions? Now, I told you all I was prepared to be here till 3:30.
Yes. One point, how will our constituents, how will the entire county tap into this recording?
It'll be on YouTube, correct? Yes, so we're streaming this, so then it'll be on our YouTube page after this finished.
City's YouTube.
The city's YouTube page, yes. And I hate to complicate things, but another thing we'll need to talk about with this process is what we do with Money Davis. As we start building new facilities to replace it, how we move forward there. So that's the kind of thing for everyone to think about and, you know, consider. Talk to your constituents, use that facility for future.
Great question, Josh. If there are no other comments or questions, then as the mayor of the city of Danville, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the city commission's involvement in this meeting, and then we'll let the judge follow up and adjourn the fiscal court's involvement. So is there a motion to adjourn the city commission's involvement in today's activities?
I make a motion to adjourn the city's portion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all. Any questions, comments on readiness? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commission is adjourned. No, adjourned until 4:30 today.
Yeah.
They'll go home and sleep, right?
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn the county's part of this program next to Ellis? Is there a second? As your voter, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.